Congratulations. We have almost made it to another weekend. Appreciate you being here with us on Morning Jocks. I am Conrad Van Order alongside one Damian Mitchell, and we will be with you here for the next hour as we get you set up for a chilly but eventful weekend around the sports world and the state of Alabama. And we appreciate you tuning in and making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on Jock. So, going to have a lot of fun today. Got some college basketball to get into, got some news on the college football front to get into. And I want to have a little bit of fun today because, this time of year with college football in the rearview mirror, you have a lot of people going ahead and looking forward to 2026. And it's always fun seeing what people think, especially this early on, because we really don't know what to make of a lot of these teams. But now that at least for the most part, we assume all the big transfer portal names are done, right? Like you'll still hear some things here and there, but, a lot of times it's going to be depth pieces or guys that we're talking about. Your starters are pretty much all gobbled up, right? At least as far as the SEC goes. And so we do have somewhat of an idea of what these rosters are going to look like. So I thought it'd be fun just to go ahead and throw out there early on the names of some teams who we think right now are the real title contenders for this upcoming season. And I found 6 that as I was going through and thinking about that I felt really good about right now with everything we know. Like, yeah, I could see that team winning a national championship. But that means there's a lot of teams that are not on that list. One of those teams would be Alabama. That is not a team that is on the list right now. Neither is
I beg your
Auburn,
pardon?
for what it's worth. But no, I don't think right now that that's
Huh.
a realistic scenario for them.
I didn't know you can take. I didn't know you could take your crimson colored glasses off, brother.
They're in the shop. They're getting worked on right now. So
They're getting some off
I
season
can
work.
see, yes, I can see clearly now, Damien.
Okay.
But I thought that's something we could have some fun with a little bit later on as some of our who we think are the early title contenders for next college football season. And I'd love to hear from you. We would both love to hear from you. 205-834-9450 if you want to go ahead and get in on the courtesy GMC text line. And who do you think it is? You can just send in one team if you think, whoever you think has the best shot. Or if you want to put together a short list of who you think the real contenders are right now. I'd love to hear it because I think there's a lot of arguments that can be made for a number of teams. And obviously, as we saw this year, if we were doing this exercise a year ago, I probably wouldn't have had Indiana or Miami in my group of, oh, yeah, I think they could actually win a title. Now make a playoff? Sure. We saw Indiana do that. Miami get really close the year before, but win a national championship or play for one. I don't think many of us would have guessed that. So that's part of the fun of it. We'll probably be wrong. And I'm sure, none of these teams will play for a national championship, but that's half the fun of it, right? Is we can look back and laugh at how silly we were in January talking about what's going to happen next January because nobody has a freaking clue. But that's part of what makes it fun there. So you can send those in. We'll get to those a little bit later on in the show, but I thought that'd be a fun way to enjoy our Friday here with just a little bit of a fun conversation discussion of what awaits us in the world of college football. But before we get to all of that, it is college basketball season, and that is the main focus in SEC country right now, as we've got a lot of teams vying for spots in the NCAA tournament, not looking quite as good as last year, but right now, where you look at bracketologies, 9 or 10 SEC teams slated to get in, depending on where you look. I know Missouri's been kind of one of those bubble teams. I know Texas has kind of been one of those bubble teams as well. But Alabama and Auburn securely in the field as of right now. And if you look and really if you were looking at the top seed, it's a little different than last year where it felt like Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and then you kind of had Alabama in the mix there too at the end where like those 4 teams were fighting it out for number 1 seeds in the tournament. Not, oh, well, who's going to be the highest SEC team or, oh, these are the 4 SEC. No, like they were all fighting for a number 1 seed. That's how stacked the conference was last year. This year, probably not going to have anybody in that conversation. I guess Florida would probably be the one still, even after the win that Auburn got last weekend. That's probably still your leader in the clubhouse, but by everything that I've seen, they're like a 4 seed. And so you're going to have a lot of teams that, again, really solid, but not teams that anybody's expecting to necessarily win the whole thing. But that could always change, right? Because, somebody could turn it on a little bit. Like I look at Again, I don't think Auburn's going to go and win a national championship, but I feel a lot better about Auburn now than I did 3 weeks ago, right? So who's to say in 3 more weeks that we won't look at a team like Auburn and go, man, I feel even better about them, or a team like Florida and go, okay, well, they're finally looking like the defending national champions that we've been waiting to see, or, who knows? Maybe it is Alabama with Charles Bediako. I don't know, but certainly a lot of intrigue. And with that, we have a full slate of games for you tomorrow. So this is just kind of a quick rundown what you have to look forward to in the SEC this weekend on the hardwood. So at 12 o'clock tomorrow, you've got a doubleheader. You've got LSU, South Carolina, there from Columbia, and then you got Texas A&M and Georgia. That should actually be a very interesting game because Georgia's been good. They've been ranked for a decent chunk of the season so far. They're not right now, but Texas A&M. I mean, you just look at their record. They're 16-4, 6-1 in the SEC. They just haven't really played anybody. So as of right now, looking really good. But this is one of those good games to kind of figure out just how good you are a little bit.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, too, is Athens is a pretty tough place to play if you look at just how a lot of the games have gone. You look at Auburn over there, you look at Tennessee. They had to squeak one out just earlier this week. Teams, they earned them over there. So I'm with you. I think this game, one, it solidifies if Texas A&M is for real. Because it feels very similar to football season right now. And I hate the fact that Bucky McMillan is there because I had a feeling it was going to work. I didn't want it to work this quickly. But it's given some shades of what they did during football season of, man, if this thing clicks, if Bucky Ball just finds a way to make the magic happen, they could be real contenders in the SEC, if not the NCAA tournament. So these are some of the games that you got to make sure that you handle your business on so we can continue this conversation as we get into February into March.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, like you said, Athens is not an easy place to go and get a win. So big challenge there for Bucky and A&M tomorrow. But coming up at 1 o'clock, if the Red River rivalry has ever been on your bucket list, you could go see the basketball version tomorrow for $8. If that interests you in Norman, Oklahoma, that's just what it says. The lowest ticket price is right now is $8. So if that's something that tickles your fancy and you just loved that drive for the college football playoff over to Norman for Alabama.
Maybe you make the trip.
Now you want to go see. Yeah, it was awful. Now you want to go and do it for Texas and Oklahoma. Go for it. $8. That's a cheap ticket there. But that's gonna be at 1 o'clock tomorrow in Norman. Then at 2:30, you got Mississippi State and Missouri. Missouri win would go a long ways towards keeping them kind of there in that bubble for the tournament right now. Mississippi State not there as of right now. But Ole Miss, they're going to go take on Vanderbilt in Nashville. That's a 5 o'clock tip tomorrow. You've got Kentucky at Arkansas. That's at 5:30. That should be a good one, obviously, with Coach Cal getting to face off against his former club. And Kentucky not looking particularly strong this year. So we'll see if they can put up a good performance tomorrow night. And then, of course, the nightcap, 7:30, Auburn at Tennessee there in Knoxville. Tennessee 6.5-point favorite right now over Auburn. So that should be an interesting one. See if they can get back-to-back weekends with big wins over the schools here in the state of Alabama. And then on Sunday, all by their lonesome to kick off the month of February, you have a top 25 matchup as number 23 Alabama is traveling to Gainesville to take on number 19 Florida and see if they can do what Auburn did last weekend and take down a very solid Florida team on the road. That's going to be a big challenge, though, nonetheless. But that is going to be a noon tip-off on ABC on Sunday.
You remember what Todd Golden said about the whole situation with Bediako, right?
Yeah, going to beat him anyways.
Yeah. Does this not give you a little bit more fuel to the fire on Sunday to hate watch a little bit?
No. And I'll give, first off, that's what I would expect Todd Golden to say. Granted, obviously, he clearly was maybe looking ahead a little bit last weekend, so maybe that was a misstep on his behalf, but it's okay. He's still a young coach. Those kinds of mistakes happen. But no, in all seriousness, I did see he did an interview with the Field of 68 earlier this week, and he kind of expanded on that. And he didn't take back what he said. It was just more of a, well, yeah, I said we're gonna go there and beat them, just like Nate Oates would tell you the same thing. Right? He said they're gonna come here and try to whoop us. That's just our mindset of anybody that we play. And, it was just, again, it was more of the, I don't blame him for doing it. We understand this is happening in college sports, and if you think this can benefit your team, I totally understand why you do that as a coach. It's just more so the system is screwed up and it needs to be fixed. But plenty of people also point out that Florida's roster, certainly has some players that have played professionally, just not in America before. So,
Hmm.
that's a debate that we'll continue to wage on. So that's your schedule for this weekend. So the gist of it: Auburn tomorrow night, 7:30 against Tennessee, or Alabama Sunday at noon against Florida. They're both teams on the road this weekend, so some big opportunities for both Alabama and Auburn. This also would be a good time to let you know an update on Charles Bediako, because I know we didn't really hit on that a whole lot yesterday. But some more news did come out yesterday, and that would be not only if you remember, Judge Roberts, who had recused himself, or he was I guess, the first judge on the hearing. He was the one that was the Alabama donor. NCAA asks him to recuse himself. He obliges, so he will no longer be uh, in charge of that case there for Charles Bediako. But we had the delay of the hearing that was set for this Tuesday. Then it gets delayed because of the weather. So it is now going to be next Friday. And if you pay attention, the day after that is the IBOB. So that's going to be a pretty impactful hearing that Friday to figure out if Bediako is he going to be able to play the next day or not. So that's kind of the latest on that. So, of course, on Friday, there will be some more updates there going on in the Charles Bediako case. But the good news is, if you're Alabama, you just you went and found another judge that went to the University of Alabama. So
So
because there had been a belief that there was a judge who had, I guess he had gone to both Alabama. He had gone undergrad at Auburn and then gotten his law degree from Alabama, and so there was a belief that, oh, okay, well, there's like
yeah,
no bias, right?
He should be right down the middle.
Well, they have found another judge that
Huh.
went to Alabama for undergrad and law school. So
Okay.
we will see how that goes on Friday. But that's your Charles Bediako update. He will be able to play this weekend. All that is good with the extended TRO, but next Friday is when that hearing is expected to take place. So we'll just wait and see how that continues to progress there. We'll keep you up to date on everything going on with Mr. Bediako and the Crimson Tide. So that's your college basketball roundup, what's going on this weekend. Of course, on Monday, we'll have a full recap for you, and hopefully two happy fan bases with big wins for Alabama and Auburn over the weekend. But we've got some things going on in college football as well. Got some interesting insight into the college football playoff talks, and I guess you could say, for a brief moment, a former Alabama player taking some shots at the Crimson Tide yesterday. We'll tell you what one, I guess you could call him a former running back, had to say about his short-lived home in the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's all coming up on the Friday edition of Morning JOX. 6:18. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Friday. Conrad and Damian with you. And we appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on Morning Jocks. So turning the page now to college football, as we just gave you a overview of what's coming up in SEC hoops this week and a big weekend around the conference. But some interesting nuggets coming out of the college football world in the last 24 hours or so. So we can start with one thing, and I kind of said my piece about it on Three Man Front yesterday, and kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it as well, Damian. But I know some people were a little fired up about this yesterday. But that would be Hollywood Smothers, if you remember, the former Alabama running back, as we're going to refer to him, for about 2 days. I think he beat Julian Sayin for shortest time as a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide football program.
Yeah, he was.
But nonetheless, if you remember, he's the NC State running back who had come to Alabama, was enrolled in classes. Everything was great, right? And then at the last second, Texas comes in and says, "Hey, we're going to offer you, I would assume, a large sum of money to come play running back for us. And hey, we got another great running back out of the portal. We want a two-headed monster, so we're going to pay you. So don't go to Alabama. You come to Texas and share this backfield, and we're going to go win a national championship." Okay, great. Whatever. It is what it is. That's how things work now. But this I did have a little bit of a problem with. So Hollywood Smothers did an interview with On3 Sports yesterday, and this is a quote that he gave to Pete Nakos. It says, quote, "NIL didn't play a big factor for me. I honestly just want to win. And I feel like we are in the best position to go win it all with the talent and depth at Texas," end quote. Okay. I will say he did go on to expand in the article, and I think the thing that stands out a lot to, or the most to a lot of people, is that he essentially criticized Alabama for not being as serious about winning a national championship as Texas is, and how he said he felt like at Texas they were trying harder to win a national championship than Alabama. That's essentially what he said. And, okay, I think we all agree Texas is spending a lot of money. They're clearly going all in on this upcoming season. There's no denying that.
None whatsoever.
I totally understand that. But to act like NIL wasn't a factor in this decision whatsoever, because there's a couple things that go with this. First off, you're not sold on Alabama wanting to compete for a national championship, according to what he said. You committed to them already. So they were obviously fine, and they were committed enough to winning 3 days earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Texas comes in, and now you're leaving because you don't think that Alabama's taking things seriously enough, or they're not trying hard enough to win at the highest level. That seems a little odd to me. There's also, I got a great chuckle out of this. There was somebody that posted this or reposted this on social media last night, and it was a picture of his Instagram stories, Hollywood Smothers, from when he was in Tuscaloosa. And in that picture, he very clearly is showing off some Balenciaga sweatpants. I don't know if it's a Richard Mill or a whatever, like a very obviously tens of thousands, if not more, designer watch. He's got a designer bag, a Louis Vuitton travel bag, whatever it is. Okay. And again, it's just, you're going to convince us that the guy who's posting an Instagram story when he's visiting a college campus, and it's not of the campus or the facilities or whatever, it's, hey, I'm here in Tuscaloosa, look at all my designer crap. But yet NIL wasn't a factor in your decision to, like, you care so much about having nice things and showing off that you have designer brands, but yet NIL wasn't a factor in your decision.
No, absolutely not. It's because Texas is putting all their chips on the table and saying we're going to win a national championship this year. Also, how many national championships has Texas played for since the college football playoff?
Texas has that would be 0. They have won 1 title in the last 56 years. Alabama has won 9 in that same stretch of time.
Interesting. Okay.
I just, not that I had looked that up.
Yeah. Listen, I'm an Ole Miss guy, so I don't really have that much dog in the fight. But when it comes to national championship conversations, I think Alabama is kind of where you start the conversation, and it's year to year that, can this team win or can they not? We've been saying, or Sam Ehlinger told us Texas was back almost a decade ago. They're trending in the right direction, but if you don't want to say NIL, if you're going to say NIL wasn't a deciding factor for you, don't say it isn't for the University of Texas program, because it clearly is. It is. We are going to spend the most money to get the most talent here to surround Arch Manning, and you are included in this. But if it's not the deciding factor, okay, that's great. But to deny that it's not playing a huge part of just how Texas is operating right now is just wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what it is, and it's fine, right? That's how they're going to do it. And just like this past year, they went and spent a bunch of money. Now they're spending more money now, but I mean, they had all the hype last year, and where'd it get them? Nothing.
Nothing.
It got them absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean
the Cheez-It Bowl.
They could go and win a national title this year. They could. On paper, yeah, they probably are the best team in the country because they've spent so much money on their roster. They should be. But again, like, there's certain things I can understand. Okay, you look at Alabama this year. They didn't run the ball a whole lot. Didn't do a great job running the football. Okay, so you could have questions about if that's where you want to go and that's the best place to showcase your talents.
Correct.
Totally understand that. Texas's leading rusher this year had 597 rushing yards. That's really not all that different than what Jam Miller had at Alabama.
No, not at all.
About 90-yard difference there. Again, I just go back to it'd be one thing if it was Texas in the money and, all right, last year they had a 1,500-yard rusher. Seems like that'd be a great fit. But you're going somewhere where essentially their top running back did the same thing that what Alabama's did, but now you're going there, and they also brought in Raleek Brown ahead of you, who they obviously identified as more valuable to them than you, and now you wanted to go there, and instead of being the undisputed lead running back at Alabama, you now want to go split carries in a backfield at Texas last year where, I mean, if you're lucky based on what we saw last year, you're going to end up with 400 yards.
Yeah.
Don't think that that's going to really get you where you want to be. And again, who knows? Maybe Alabama wouldn't have gotten him where he wants to be. But it's just all of this to say, you're an adult, you're getting paid a lot of money. Be a man and go, hey, they paid me a lot of money, and I wanted to go, and I thought that was what was in the best interest of my family, or my interest was to go and secure the best financial situation for me this year. And I did that at Texas. Totally understand that. Don't have a problem with that. But when you have to go the route of, NIL wasn't a factor, yet you're posting pictures of all your designer crap, go look at his agent on Instagram. That dude looks like, that'll tell you everything you need to know about what's important to them. Okay, and that's fine. If money is the end-all, be-all, like it is for a lot of them, that's fine. Just be a man enough to come out and say it. Don't question the competitive nature of a program that you committed to and enrolled in classes to, and then 3 days later go, yeah, well, I don't know if that school is actually committed to winning a national championship. Just say you got more money somewhere else, man.
Yeah.
No one's going to blame you for it. It is what it is.
Yeah, like, okay, listen, you don't have to have good PR. Like, it's understandable. We know how this college system operates. Texas has made no bones about it of the fact that they will spend money to get players to their campus. Yeah. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It is evident. It's the way that they do, and they got the donors. They got the money. So nobody's going to be upset with you, and if you say that, hey, you know what, the check was nice, and I'm going to Austin.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's the world that we live in.
And also national championships. Like, in his lifetime, he's never seen this. He's never seen Texas play in a national championship game. No, he probably has. He's probably young when Greg knocked off Colt McCoy and those boys.
Probably so. But again, I just go, you're telling me NIL wasn't a factor. Okay, even if it wasn't a factor for you directly, it's clearly a factor because you're going there because you've seen how much money they're paying all these players and going, oh, I feel like they might have the best chance to win a title. Which, if that's what you think, that's good, fine. That's fine. But just say that. Like, it's just any player at any point in time now that Ty Simpson's gone, that might have been the one player that could have gotten away with it. Like, I will never believe any college athlete that says my decision was not somewhat impacted by NIL.
Of course.
Because they all are.
That's where the conversation starts.
And it's okay. It's just like here with our job, any job, whatever, you listing, whatever job you have. At the end of the day, if somebody else comes and offers you double to do the same job that you have now, same quality of life, maybe you even get to go live somewhere that's more interesting to you, whatever, you're going to listen.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to say yes. It's just,
Maybe Isaiah Bond talked to him.
I would imagine that if that was the case, he would not be going there. So I think they probably told Isaiah Bond to lose his number if he had it. But good luck to him and the Cleveland Browns this upcoming season. All right, I did want to get to this quickly here before we move on and get to the national championship, early national championship contenders that we talked about and teased earlier on in the show, because there was an interesting story that came out yesterday from Brett McMurphy and On Three about the college football playoff expansion talks, and we know now, right, that it's staying at 12 teams for next year. The Big Ten and the SEC couldn't agree on what comes next, but there's a couple interesting tidbits in here. I just wanted to share them before the weekend because I'm sure this will get lost in the shuffle over the next couple of days. But just thought this was very, very interesting. So first off is what we know is true, and that is the fact that the Big Ten wanted a bigger playoff system. The SEC did not necessarily want that. So the Big Ten, they wanted a 24-team playoff, which would include multiple automatic bids for the power conferences, and then the ability to host play-in games that would kind of essentially replace the conference championship game weekend. And we've discussed that potential a good bit here in the last few months. On top of that, the SEC, on the other hand, they wanted a 16-team playoff, which would include 5 automatic bids for 4 Power 4 conference champions and then 1 Group of 5 champion and 11 at-large bids. The interesting part about this is that out of all of the leagues that are in this, because it's really the Big Ten and the SEC that get to make the decisions, but I mean, you include the Big 12, the ACC, the Mountain West, the whatever, the Notre Dames of the world, right? And according to Brett McMurphy's reporting, everybody besides the Big Ten wants the SEC's format. All of the other conferences are on Team SEC. They want the 16-team format, the conference champion automatic bids, and then 11 at large. That's what they all want. The Big Ten is the one that wants the 24-team playoff, and it's just them. But
They're pride in that ego.
But that's enough because if they don't budge, then the SEC is not going to budge, and they're just going to kind of stay at a stalemate. But I did think it was interesting that essentially everybody agrees, yeah, we want the SEC's format, but the Big Ten's like, well,
yeah,
that sucks. It's not unanimous. So
Petiti just can't move that ego and pride to the side and just like, you know what, Greg Sankey, you make a great point.
Here's a great point. Yeah, and here's kind of the money quote from the article. It says from a one of the sources he talked to. It says, quote, about the SEC and Big Ten. They basically bullied their way into an agreement that provides them a lion's share of revenue and control of the format, and yet they cannot work together because of their egos. Yeah. And that's, that pretty much goes to show you everything that you need to know. But I thought that was very interesting. So the Big Ten, they're sticking to one side. The SEC's sticking to one side, but everyone else is going, yeah, I kind of think that the SEC, maybe they have the right idea about all of this. So it's just going to be fascinating to see how this progresses. And, of course, the college football playoff, their official statement is, oh, well, this is good because another year of the 12-team format gives us more data points to figure out, the best way to do things moving forward and what, maybe what factors to weigh more heavily in the evaluation process and all that crap that we all know doesn't matter because it changes every year and they get
100%.
I don't say they get it wrong because I do think this year they did actually get it right at the end of the day. It's just the process of getting there it is like pulling teeth just a little bit. So we'll see how things progress, but we are going to have a 12-team playoff in 2026. So love it or hate it, that's just kind of where you're going to be left off. But there will be a couple of interesting little wrinkles to it next year. So if you remember now, Notre Dame, unlike this year, if they are one of the top 12 teams, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoff now. Even if, like this year, they got bumped out for, Tulane or whoever because they were technically the 10th team or the 11th team and they had to make room for it. That's not happening now. If it was this year, Miami would have been the team that got left out. Even though they were ranked ahead of Notre Dame, they would have been left out and Notre Dame would have gotten in because they get that fancy treatment because they're just so special and so important. So that will be taking place this upcoming year. And the other interesting change that I think a lot of people, I'll be honest, I'd forgotten about it as well, is that the highest ranked Group of 5 team will make the playoff next year. And I know that doesn't sound crazy. It's like, oh, well, that's what happens anyways. No, it had to be the highest rated conference champion. So it probably will still be that way.
Right.
But there is a world where, let's say there's a crazy upset in the, whatever Mountain West national or conference championship game, the highest rated team from the Group of 5 will be the team that gets in the playoff. So they could lose a conference championship and still get in because it just goes to the highest ranked Group of 5 team. That is the new rule there. So a couple of new wrinkles there for the playoff, but until this thing expands, we're going to be in very familiar territory, and hopefully they can finally figure something out because I'm just tired of hearing about this. And they've had a long time to figure it out, and they can't. So let's hope that we can make some progress here moving forward. But when we come back here on Morning Jocks, going to get to kind of the main event that we had teased a little bit earlier in the show, and would love to get your interaction on the text line 205-834-9450 there, sponsored by Courtesy GMC. But we're going to take a look. Our national title contenders are way too early. Who do we think legitimately? Not, I could see a way where they were. No, right now, you feel confident. You got to put money on the line. These teams are going to compete for a national championship in 2026. We'll give you our list and hear from you next on Morning Jocks. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Connor and Damian here with you, about to share some of our national title contenders for 2026. Are early the teams that we like. Make no mistake about it. These teams, these are going to be the best teams in college football next year. 100% confirmed, guaranteed, no doubt about it. Because as we know, college football is totally not unpredictable, right? So this is going to come to fruition here. I feel good about it. So I've got 6 teams that I think are right now, in my opinion, these are the top dogs, at least on paper, for the next season of college football. We'll get Damian's thoughts as well, and then yours on the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. But first, do want to remind you that coming up 6 days from now, we've got the biggest basketball game in Alabama at Bartow Arena, as UAB is going to be hosting Memphis. Again, that's next Thursday. February the 5th, going to be an absolutely fantastic experience. So get on out to Bartow Arena. You can go get tickets now at uabsports.com. First 5,000 fans going to get a gold rally towel, and it is a gold out. So if you are attending, please deck yourself out in gold. Go support the Blazers as they take on the Memphis Tigers there in Bartow. Again, you can get your tickets at uabsports.com. All right, getting into the national title contenders. All right, I told you I've got 6 teams here. And you can tell me, Damien, you agree, you disagree, you think I'm maybe jumping the gun a little bit on some of these teams. We need to wait and, let's wait and see what they look like first before we start calling them national championship contenders. But we'll start with this one. And again, I think this is one where if I were to put money on it right now, do I think they win the title next year? No, but who am I to say they can't do it again? And that'd be Indiana. Again, I think they're losing a lot. But you saw the improvements that Signetti was able to make. They outside of Mendoza, it wasn't like, they went in the portal. Even Mendoza, you didn't look at the portal moves and go, oh my gosh, Indiana's going to be stacked. It was just they went and got a bunch of guys that fit the system and coached them up, and they ended up being the best team in college football.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like they deserve a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that they can do that again. They brought over Josh Hoover, really nice quarterback. I think, you look at, now we know what Fernando Mendoza is, but I think, this time a year ago, you'd be more excited about Josh Hoover than Mendoza, right? And so you just wonder, man, how good could he be for Indiana? So I think they have to be on the list because Signetti's proven that he can do it and very quickly. So I have Indiana there. I think they're certainly in the conversation for that. We were just talking about Hollywood Smothers. I do have Texas in there. I will say this. I think that Texas, in terms of, they're probably the one I feel maybe the least good about or the least confident in, just because it's Texas, right? Like
they'll find a way to blow it.
They'll find a way to blow it. And now this would be the year that you look at them and go, there's no way you can blow it because you have so much talent there that they're not going to let that happen. But there's still a lot of question marks to be had. There's a lot of things that they have to get better on the offensive line. They have to get better in the running game. A lot of this is predicated on the belief that Arch is going to take a big step. He very well may. He did at the end of the season. We also saw this year, though, a lot of guys that we would have looked at like a Cade Klubnik of, wow, okay, you really came along and had a nice year last year. You should be a Heisman candidate this year. And then there's the regression that hits. I'm not saying that happens with Arch, but, if that does happen, then we're having a completely different conversation about this Texas team.
Yep.
So, I understand maybe a little bit of getting there early on Texas, but I think on paper, at least,
oh yeah,
they should be in the mix.
They should be.
They should be.
They're back.
Doesn't mean they will be, but they should be. I also threw Miami on that list, and I think I have some questions on the defense of they're losing a lot, and Reuben Baines don't grow on trees, right? But just offensively, you look. You're bringing in Darian Mensah, who was spectacular at Duke, and I think a lot of people just didn't realize how good he was because you didn't watch Duke football. Like, I don't blame you. But he's incredible. I think he could absolutely be better quarterback than Carson Beck was this year. You've got Fletcher coming back there in the running back room. He's going to be one of the best in the country. You got Tony coming back at wide receiver. He's going to be, maybe besides Jeremiah Smith, the best receiver in football next year. You've got some big boys on the offensive line that are coming back. Like, they should be in a really good shape. My biggest question mark really is just, with Cristobal and, at this point, you kind of just expect that they're going to trip up somewhere like they did this year, and you hope that
they can overcome it.
They can overcome it and still get a spot in the playoff. But I think Miami, on paper, is one of the best teams right now. I feel really good about Oregon next year. Really like Oregon. Dante Moore coming back. I think you could have an argument that he's maybe the best quarterback coming back in college football to start the year. And on top of, I mean, it's just they've got dudes all over the place, right? Defensively, they went and got some big time additions in the transfer portal, so they should again have one of the best defenses in the country. Again, I know they were beaten up at running back at times this year and stuff, but they have a lot of depth there at that position. And then at wide receiver, I feel like receiver for them has maybe not been disappointing the last couple years, but you never got to see Evan Stewart really do anything because of injuries. You've had like Trayshawn Holden, some guys like that have had I mean, they've been nice, but maybe not like that dominant threat or anything. But I think Oregon, again, on paper, really, really solid.
I agree.
Love them at quarterback, love them defensively, and I just I trust Dan Lanning to go and get the job done. I think Ohio State again.
Of course.
I mean,
until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Julian Sain and Jeremiah Smith, probably the best receiver quarterback duo in the country
ever
right now. Ever. You got Bo Jackson. He came back to college.
I thought he was at Auburn. I thought he went to Auburn.
No, he was, and then he came back like Charles Bediako, but instead he went to Ohio State.
Gotcha.
But
Bo Jackson.
The other Bo Jackson. But no, I mean, if you didn't know, yes, their running back is Bo Jackson. He's insane. But you've got that going. I mean, defensively, they're going to be great. My only question for them is like the fact that Arthur Smith is calling the plays. Like maybe there's a little, but I think they'll figure it out.
Yeah, you're 5 for 5 right now, brother.
I'm 5 for 5.
Let's go.
All right, I got one more.
Oh boy,
it's an SEC school.
Hit me.
It's not Alabama.
No. You made that abundantly clear that Alabama's not in this conversation.
I put Georgia.
Okay. You're 6 for 6.
And I feel like with Georgia as well, a lot of it too is defensively, because again, that was the thing with Georgia was the first half of the season, couldn't get after the court. It just didn't look like a Kirby defense, right? Defensive line wasn't where it needed to be. Couldn't get after the quarterback well enough. But I think now you saw some progress in the passing game. I think Gunnar Stockton is like going into next year is even more confident now.
Yeah, he's for real.
Plus, like that's just a dude like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to bet on him to win a football game because he's just not going to lose a football game. But you bring back Nate Frazier, so you should be good at running back there. Offensive line should be fine. It's just can the defense, if you get some of those young guys to develop, and this is more like, I guess, the Kirby defenses we're used to seeing, I think Georgia's got a really, really good shot. So those are my 6 teams. So you agree you like all of those?
I do.
Is there anybody off the top of my head that your head that you're just like, man, I can't believe that he left that team off, or you think there's somebody else that should be in that mix? Ole Miss.
If Trinidad comes back for sure.
That's part of why I left them out. Because,
understandable.
And I think he will come back.
But. Yeah. Another SEC school, Texas A&M. Do you think they fall from grace a little bit, or is it a lot? See, my biggest hiccup.
I'm just not there with them on national title.
National title, okay.
Playoffs
for sure,
but not. I'm not there on the champion.
My biggest holdup with them is still Marcel Reed.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Marcel Reed. But no, you're 6 for 6, brother.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No little old Clemson,
huh?
No little old Clemson.
No.
Oh.
No. Just
okay.
Well, we had Fanboy texted. He says, "LOL, Indiana's only going to be there again because of their schedule." Well, you could say that this year, and they proved they were still the best team, so it didn't matter.
Line 'em up.
But he also says, "But I'm going to say Clemson."
Okay. What about Texas Tech? For as much money as they spent last year.
So that was another one that, again, Texas Tech is in my feel really good about them in the Big 12. I don't. Again, I look at them like Indiana, right, 2 years ago, where it's like, okay, you're a good team. You had a good year. I think they're a little better than maybe Indiana a couple of years ago, but I need to see them make that big jump that I didn't think Indiana could make, but they did. Now can Texas Tech go and do that? Because we know they got the money, right? And so can you just go and address, offensively, you got to be better.
Yeah.
You got to be better, and they went and spent a lot of money on their quarterback, and we'll see if Brendan Sorsby can take them over the hump there. So a lot of your texts coming in, though, 205-834-9450 on the Courtesy GMC text line. We want to get your thoughts on your national title contenders for 2026. We'll do that, put a bow on things as we return here on JOX. 6:52 here on your Friday morning JOX. Appreciate you tuning in, making us a part of your day each and every morning right here on JOX. We're going to hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning in just a few moments as they will continue to get you ready for the weekend and continue the college football conversation. So if you're just now joining us, you missed part of the last segment we went through. I gave out 6 teams that I think are the front runners right now to win the 2026 national championship. And according to Damien, I went 6 for 6. So
You did.
I appreciate that. So we just like to throw out some. Again, it's early. We're probably going to be very wrong, and it's very real that out of the 6 teams I gave out, none of them will play for a national championship, and that's what makes college football fun. And we just like having the conversation, and we like interacting with you. So many of you on the courtesy GMC text line each and every day here on the program. So quickly, a quick rundown if you missed it. My 6 schools that I gave out before we get to y'all's: Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Miami, Georgia, and Indiana. Those are the 6 right now that I feel really, really good about. One of those teams hoisting the trophy at the end of the college football season next year. Steven chimes in and he says, what do you guys think about Notre Dame as contenders? We already know they're an auto bid for the playoffs, but could they be a legit threat to win it all? And they absolutely could. I really do think that they could. And a lot of it is going to come down to, again, it's just, I don't know. I guess my thing with Notre Dame, look, I really like CJ Carr. Like, I think they have a lot of potential. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. And I think that could be very, very valuable for them next year. But it's also the thing with Notre Dame where it's just, I mean, who's to say they don't end up in another similar situation like they did this year, right? Where you have 2 close losses and you just find yourself on the way out because in some ways they do have the advantage, but in other ways they do have a disadvantage because you don't really have as many marquee opportunities to impress the committee. So I think Notre Dame's going to be really, really good. I could absolutely see them being a contender. They would be kind of in that next tier for me, though, after the 6 that we had out there. Steven says, what do y'all think about my LSU Tigers with what they did in the portal? Do you think they're a title contender? My thing with LSU is, and I know that they made the playoff this year, Lane Kiffin has never won a game that really, truly meant something as a head coach. And I'm not saying that he won't do that at some point in his LSU career, because he very well may. I need to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Samuel Everett got hurt this year. He's probably not going to be your starter at the beginning. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things they're going to have to gel, and some things they're going to have to come together during the season. Where, again, I think LSU could be really good. I absolutely could see him making a playoff this year, but it's a lot of things that have to fall into place in year 1 to win a title. But, maybe Lane could do it. Nick chimes in. He says, Indiana, Miami, Georgia, LSU, Oregon, Ohio State. That's his list. His honorable mentions, though, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Alabama.
All right.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you chiming in there. Ken says, I like 4 of your picks, but Sark and Mario have never won anything. Have to see it to believe it. Well, Mario got close. Got real close.
Extremely close.
Yeah, so did Hugh Freeze. That does it for us. We'll see you Monday at 6 a.m. Mac and Cube, those guys are up next.